On Britain as a nation, oh, that's a really interesting question. Well, as you know, it has divided the nation initially, but actually I think in the longer term what it has done is that it has politicized people much, much more. And ultimately, nearly 3 years on, what we're seeing is a nation which has become more European than it ever has been. So I've been in this country for 42 years now, and in the early years, if I said, we're all Europeans, the Brits would look at me as if I were insane and say, no, you're European, we are British. But now, most people recognize that they are European and that they value this identity far more than they ever knew, because they've had to find out and they've had to get the information, and they've come to realize that, you know, we live in very close contiguity and we have to work together. And so it has changed this nation a lot. But as you know, for the moment it's still divided. There is a large group of people who still have the old ideas about Europe and who believe that Europe is dangerous to Britain because Britain is greater than Europe. But that's a shrinking group of people because the facts really do speak for themselves. And I think Britain is waking up to reality.
And how about a psychological aspect? How, you said the nation is divided. As a psychologist, do you feel that there are some worries, people worried about Brexit?
People are very worried about Brexit. So they're worried about Brexit simply in practical terms because they know if they run a business, this will get a lot harder. And in financial terms, because they know the pound is falling and they know that it will be much harder to travel around Europe or even internationally, they are aware that the status of the United Kingdom is going down in the world and that people internationally are looking at British people in a very different way. So all of that affects people's self-esteem. But they're also aware of the effect of all of this on the state of mind of people themselves, and they are aware that there's a lot more crime now and that there has been a lot more extremism and that EU citizens, for instance, have been treated very badly. And so there is this feeling that our morality, our integrity, our very character of the Brits is being exposed as being a lot less nice than we thought it was. And I think a lot of people are very upset about that. They feel a lot less safe, and they feel a lot more depressed than they used to. So psychologists and psychotherapists are aware that the prescriptions of antidepressants have significantly gone up in the last 3 years, and a lot more people are asking for help. And we are aware that this is affecting a lot more people than we realized. So I did a little bit of research with 1,300 British people to ask what their emotions about it all were. And they were very strong emotions. People said they were insomniac, they couldn't sleep anymore, they were feeling depressed. We now actually call it the Brexit blues because it is so widespread. They're also very anxious. They don't feel secure anymore. And they also feel betrayed a lot. So people feel betrayed on all sides of the argument. So people who voted leave feel they're not going to get what they voted for. And people who voted remain feel they have been treated appallingly and haven't been listened to. So everybody is dissatisfied and everybody is insecure and everybody is utterly, utterly sick and tired of even the word Brexit. Most people have an almost allergic reaction to that word now. They'll actually say to you, oh, don't mention that word. I don't want to hear that word anymore. It's so awful. What's happened to this country? We're not rational anymore. How was this possible to happen? People are just appalled and amazed that this has happened to Britain.
And from psychological point of view, where frustration could lead and all these emotions?
Yes, well, that's a very good question. Your guess is as good as mine, really. If we judge by the march on the weekend, where nearly 2 million people were out in the streets of London and no problems happened at all, because these were all very peaceful protesters who are kind to each other, who are decent people, and who just want a future of collaboration and peace in Europe and prosperity for everybody. They're very polite, and there isn't a threat there. But then we know that some of the leavers are beginning to make threats and attacking people, and that is very upsetting and preoccupying. But that should also make us think. So if there's a very small group of people who want to emotionally blackmail the British people with violence, then surely that tells us something about those are not the people we should be listening to, and those are not the people who should get to decide what happens to this very sound and basically good country that has been taken over by the wrong kind of sentiments and the wrong kind of way of behaving with other people. So if the right people get to be in control again, I think we'll find a way, and it won't be so bad.
And Emmy, from psychological point of view, Theresa May was the one who, at the beginning, was to Remain campaign. She supported.
Yes.
Then she had to deliver Brexit as a prime
Yes.
minister. Then she had to go to Brussels. It was quite embarrassing. Her own party disliked her at the moment, most of the conservative members, and thinks she should resign.
Yes.
What is happening with Theresa May from psychological point of view? What is her feeling?
It's a very astute question, and I wouldn't want to speculate about somebody I haven't actually spoken to personally, and who is not somebody I know. But we can all see that this is a woman who's under great pressure and who has put herself in a very paradoxical position. So your guess is as good as mine. Was she sincere when she campaigned for Remain, or was she always really in favor of leaving? Was she sincere when she said, I will deliver Brexit, or is that when she isn't quite being honest with herself or with the people? We don't know yet. But what is clear is that this is a person who has moved from one position to another, and who has had to manage a lot of contradictions and a lot of tensions. And it shows on her. It shows. Everybody at some level feels a little bit sorry for her now, because she is holding all that pressure. She's getting all the criticism from absolutely everybody, and sometimes, from a psychotherapeutic perspective, it seems to me as if she's somebody who has sacrificed herself in the belief that she can save a nation or a party or something or other, but she's not succeeding in that. Because we can only do things like that when we are at one with ourselves and when we are sincere, and when we play act or we try to obtain results that aren't genuinely the objectives that we would be able to align ourselves with, then things get out of kilter and they go wrong. And when we look at the politics of Theresa May, we get that feeling that she's often saying the opposite of what she means, or that she does the opposite of what she has said. And that is very bad for a country when it is led by somebody who is veering between positions and who can't stand steady in the middle, saying, we've looked at the facts, this is what's happening in this country, this is what is good for most of the people in this nation, this is what we're going to do. And I think that is what the British people are really craving, to find a politician they can trust. They've lost their trust in politics. They need somebody who can bring the nation together and who can give us a feeling of pride in ourselves again, and who can remind us that we used to be one of the most diplomatic nations in the world, which is something we've lost totally and utterly. We used to be revered, respected and appreciated by other countries for being honest, having fair play, being outspoken and being able to listen to other people. And we have become a nation of people who are just going this way and that way, who are confusing everybody and who are doing things that are not good for the people in our own country, let alone for the people in other countries. Well, that can't continue, can it? We've got to find our groove back, and we've got to get back with a politics that's good for the whole world and for this country.
Very last, you partially answered this question, but still, if, for example, Britain was your patient, how do you advise to overcome Brexit?
If Britain was my patient, I would say, you poor country, you're hurting everywhere. Everybody is in tears, nobody can sleep, everybody is frightened. Let's take some time. Let's find out what's really gone wrong, and let's figure out how we can get you back to strength, to simple things, to thinking clearly about what's happened, and then let's find some simple steps forward to get back on the road towards health together. And I think that is what the country needs.